Or you can do what I did and leave the lab and are building a career in science communication. And I'm not using any of those techniques anymore, but by God can I talk about them. Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Nicola, I have a PhD in chemical biology and I love to talk about all things science. But in particular, I love to talk about chemistry and medicine and how they go hand in hand together. This video today is going to be about my experience as a postdoc and why I think you should go for something that's a little different than what you did during your PhD. My PhD was in chemical biology, which basically means that I made a load of compounds and then I would test them in my own biological assays. So the organic synthesis that I did was small molecule synthesis, where I would make compounds in round bottom flasks using stir bars and magnetic stirring plates. I'll see if I can find a picture of one of my setups and pop it here. But then I would also work up the reaction and run silica columns to purify it, and that's basically what I was trained in. So my undergraduate degree was in chemistry with medicinal chemistry, so it was very chemistry focused. So during my PhD I had a lot of opportunities to learn biological assays as well, so I could test my compounds, including enzyme activity assays, binding assays, microbiological assays. And it's basically because my topic was on antibiotic resistance, so the compounds I was making were potential new antibiotics, and then I got to test them against bacteria and resistant bacteria, and it was really fun and I loved that so much about my PhD. Another thing I got to learn during my PhD was compound screening techniques, which is really cool for drug discovery processes. So the particular one that I learned was called mRNA display, which was looking at cyclic peptides that could potentially bind any of your targets. So you would take an enzyme, in our case it would be an enzyme that was involved in the life of a bacteria. If we inhibited that enzyme, we had the potential to kill the bacteria, so we're looking to find any compounds that stuck to the enzyme. But it's really hard to just come up with something out of the blue which will bind an enzyme, so you use this screening technique, mRNA display, to find potential cyclic peptides which bind them, and then you have new hit compounds which you can do medicinal chemistry on. If you're doing your PhD right now, I would find out what the most interesting technique is in your field just now and see if you can incorporate that into any of the work you do. Because if you learn this technique during your PhD, you'll become a really desirable hire for a postdoc and people will be clamouring to have you in their lab. So that's what happened for me when I was looking for a postdoc. I found one that was looking for an mRNA display chemist, and there wasn't that many people out there that knew the technique, but I did. The other thing they were looking for is someone that could do peptide chemistry, and like I said before, I had done small molecule chemistry and not peptide chemistry, so I was wondering if I was even going to be hired because I didn't have that speciality. But when I went in for the interview, the most interesting thing about me was the fact I could do mRNA display, and they were like, "Are you a chemist?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "You'll be fine with peptide chemistry then." Your postdoc should also be about learning new skills. So you want to bring skills that you know from your PhD into the lab and then have that lab teach you the skills that they know. And that's how you become a better scientist. And then you can go off and do whatever you want after that, whether it's continuing in academia and then you've got all of these different skills, or you can go into industry instead. Or you can do what I did and leave the lab and are building a career in science communication. And I'm not using any of those techniques anymore, but by God can I talk about them, which is what I'm going to do on this channel. Some advice for new postdocs then: if you are learning a new technique, don't just rely on the other experts in the lab. Definitely do the reading yourself, because anything you can learn theoretically will help you with problem solving that technique in the future. When I was learning peptide chemistry, there was a problem with one of the peptides that no one had really figured out why it was happening yet. And because I was so new to the topic, I was like, right, I'm going to learn all the potential problems that can go on, because I wasn't used to troubleshooting peptide reactions. I was used to troubleshooting small molecule reactions. So when I researched all of that, I found out something that was going on, and then I could bring it to the group and be like, hey, we shouldn't do this anymore because it's causing this problem. That made me feel really good, and it made me feel like I was really bringing something to the table as a postdoc. As someone that had never done peptide chemistry before, I was still able to solve a problem. And that's what you're looking for. And that's what someone who's looking to hire you as a postdoc is looking for as well, your ability to problem solve anything and bring forward your own perspective. My final point for any potential postdocs out there is don't just go in and learn new lab techniques. Use this time as well to get experience in arranging seminars and grant writing and in paper reviewing. All that stuff is really desirable in your CV as well, and it'll be great if you're looking for other postdocs or for fellowship opportunities. You really want to be able to have other things on there that you've learned. That's what I did. I actually arranged a seminar between our university and a university from the Netherlands that came over and visited. I also wrote for a small grant. It was called a Sustainable Labs grant, and I got awarded it. So then I got my own project, which then allowed me to do budget managing and project managing. So that's all new skills that I've got on my CV as well. And then I also reviewed for a couple of papers, which then allowed me to think about what makes a good paper, and then it made my own paper writing skills that much better. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please leave me a like and a comment below, and if you have any questions about being a postdoc, just contact me and maybe I'll do a postdoc Q&A video as well. But I hope to see you next time in a video that's more focused on chemistry and medicine.